Business Live today is brought to you by GCB Bank.
Thanks very much for staying. Welcome back to Business Live. Now to our very first story. Businesses that may want to invest in the Sankofa Jinyame gas project will now be assured that their capital is safe and protected. This follows the signing of an agreement with the World Bank to provide up to $500 million to Ghana in the form of a partial risk guarantee for use in the country if the country defaults on payments for gas from the Sankofa field. The agreement will also ensure managers of the gas field can attract more funding from the partners. Alex Mould is Chief Executive Officer of Ghana National Gas Corporation.
The letter of credit agreement, which governs the issuance of LCs by the LC banks, HSBC and Standard Chartered Bank, at the insistence of GNPC, and the reimbursement and credit agreement between GNPC and the LC banks, under which GNPC undertakes to repay any amount drawn under the letter of credit. Fourth one is the IDA guarantee and indemnity agreement, as well as the cooperation agreement, which together constitutes the direct agreements with the World Bank. The gas sales agreement and the supporting contractual agreements signed between GNPC and the state on one hand, and the private gas suppliers, i.e. ENI and Vitol, on the other hand. Under these agreements, the gas suppliers have undertaken to develop, produce and sell gas to GNPC, and we have undertaken to pay for the gas supplied. These have all been approved by Parliament. The Sankofa Jinyame project, we normally call the OCTP project, will be Ghana's third producing asset after the Jubilee and 10 fields. GNPC, together with its partners, Vitol and the operator, ENI, developing the discoveries as an integrated oil and gas project with shared facilities on a floating production, storage, and offloading vessel we call the FPSO. We still have to name it, but it's called the FPSO right now. First oil is projected to come on stream in the third quarter of 2017, while the first gas will follow in the second quarter of 2018. Currently, developments work on the OCTP project are progressively, steadily, and within target and budget.
The Sankofa Jinyame gas project is on track and should pour first oil by the second half of 2017, whilst commercial production of gas will start from the first quarter of 2018. Finance Minister Seth Tepe outlined the impact of the project on the economy.
Jinyame, also called the OCTP project, that's offshore key 3 points for OCTP, is Ghana's third major upstream asset after the world-class Jubilee field and the 10, that's Junibua, Enira, and Tommy producing fields. It is exciting for some of us to participate in this ceremony, considering that just a few weeks ago we were with His Excellency, on board the FPSO, Professor Atamios, following, Kwame Nkrumah. Hopefully we'll get, a third name, as requested. The Sankofa fields are made up, as I said, of the Sankofa and Jinyame gas fields and the Sankofa East oil field, as was noted, located about 60 kilometers offshore Takoradi. It is Ghana's first gas-to-power project with a capacity to supply, as we have been told, 180 million standard cubic feet of natural gas. The Sankofa field holds estimated proven hydrocarbon reserves of 204 million barrels of oil and 1.1 trillion standard cubic feet of natural gas. ENI, the operator of the block, holds 47.2% participating interest in the block, whilst Vitol holds 37.8%.
Now, Ghana's holding funds, that's the Ghana's Petroleum Holding Funds, has since 2015 accrued $21.6 million out of Ghana's lifting of crude oil from the Jubilee field. This was disclosed by Deputy Minister of Finance Munakwati at the stakeholders' engagement in Accra. Breaking it down, she disclosed that the Stabilization Fund alone has realized $15.2 million, while the Heritage Fund has a total of $6.5 million. Munakwati assured the petroleum funds are in safe hands. There's more in this report.
The Petroleum Holding Fund, the Bank of Ghana, constitutes the Stabilization Fund and the Heritage Fund. These are set aside for future generations after petroleum exploitation in the country is over. It is also to cushion the economy in times of persistent slowdown in the economy as a result of significant drop in prices of crude oil. According to Deputy Minister of Finance Munakwati, investments by government from the petroleum sector are having a positive impact on the nation's economy. She further noted that the Stabilization and Heritage Fund have accrued significant amounts of money.
Although Ghana is not a major oil producing country, petroleum revenue has been a key contributor to the gross domestic product and a major source of revenue to the national budget since production began here. We also in this country have our Ghana Petroleum Funds, and as at the end of 2015, those funds got a contribution of about $21.6 million just from liftings during the year into the fund. The Ghana Stabilization Fund received $15.2 million, and the Ghana Heritage Fund also received $6.5 million into the account. And this is to just let you know that we also have petroleum funds that we are managing with respect to now and for the generation to come. Given the importance of the oil and gas industry to the Ghanaian economy, government continues to provide the enabling environment to attract more investments into this new sector.
Chief Executive Officer of Petroleum Commission Theophilus Ihring hinted of potential discoveries in the coming years.
On the back of Jubilee, over 25 other discoveries have been made, and the 10th project is operational at the moment. We are saying that by about 2018, we will be doing somewhere between 180 to 200 million barrels of oil in terms of recoverable, and in terms of gas, we'll be doing about 300 million standard cubic feet of gas. This is a potential for huge electricity generation opportunities.
The workshop on the financial services for the upstream petroleum sector is part of a series of programs that will culminate in the development of guidelines for implementing aspects of the local content law.
Now, away from petroleum, the Bank of Ghana has begun offloading all foreign exchange earnings from the nation's cocoa and mineral proceeds directly to universal banks. This is expected to improve bank supply of dollar cash to especially multinational companies that may require it for their operations. The first Deputy Governor, Millicent Na, revealed this at a workshop organized by the Petroleum Commission to encourage the participation of financial service providers in the oil and gas sector. The move, according to him, should ease the pressure on the central bank in the supply of dollars on the market.
We have issued notices to the effect that we are offloading some of the forex that used to come to the central bank before we offload to the market. We are directing that this forex goes to the market directly, and we started on the 1st of July, whereby the residual cocoa export proceeds now goes to the market directly. The mineral proceeds also is going to the market directly. The residual one is the cocoa export proceeds. We are discussing this issue with the IMF, and we are looking at a rule-based approach to ensure that there is an orderly offloading of the cocoa export proceeds directly to the market. So with this development, it should be able to, banks should be able to support the needs of the players in the sector.
Now, the minimum capital requirement that every commercial bank must meet before it can operate in the country is expected to be increased to 500 million Ghana cedis next year. This is the latest Joy Business has picked up from persons close to reviewing the capital requirement. But what will be the implications on lending and, of course, the control of banks in the country? George Rafi has more.
Joy Business understands the proposed 500 million Ghana cedis requirement could start from next year. A technical committee set up to review and recommend appropriate capital levels is expected to submit its report to the Bank of Ghana next month. This will influence the actual timing that existing and new commercial banks should recapitalize. Commercial banks currently must have a minimum capital of 120 million Ghana cedis. Well, for those who think that the increase will not come on, listen to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Abdul Nasir Isaku, addressing MDs of commercial banks yesterday.
The Bank of Ghana is of the conviction that the time to inject more capital is now. And this is to enable banks to become strong and resilient and position them to take on big ticket deals both locally and internationally. The asset quality review undertaken on the loans and investments portfolio of banks in Ghana by some accounting firms on behalf of the Bank of Ghana in the first half of the year also points to the need for injection of additional capital by banks. But we also state that it should be possible for banks in Ghana to grant loans to finance projects abroad in competition with other global players.
The increase has also been influenced by a review of loans and investment portfolio of banks by independent accounting firms, which recommended injection of additional capital by the banks. Sources say the Bank of Ghana is also being forced to go ahead with this because the new banking laws bar the regulator from granting waivers to commercial banks from lending beyond a fraction of their minimum capital requirement. The increase could reduce the current number of 32 commercial banks in the country, as some may struggle to meet this new capital requirement. This might also lead to some substantial increase in lending, as banks may look for some innovative ways to make some prudent returns on their new capital.
Meanwhile, President of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani, tells Joy Business he does not believe banks will struggle in meeting any capital requirement levels the regulator settles on.
These are shareholder decisions, and it's a good industry, banking. So I'm sure shareholders will look at it and take a view that yes, they can meet those capital requirements. There will be any level of industry activities to respond to that, which cannot necessarily speak to an individual member's position to meet or not to be able to meet. You know what I'm saying? These are shareholder decisions, and as I said, the banking industry in Ghana is fairly robust and profitable, so most shareholders will respond. And there will also be industry level, what we saw in Nigeria is when this thing went up, the number of banks dropped from 96 thereabout to 25. So there are all sorts of permutations that can happen, but I don't think the levels that we are talking about would compel the level of cannibalization and or consolidation that we saw in Nigeria.
Finally, you talked about the press conference where you said that the situation is not that bad for banks to collapse, but we heard rumors about certain reports that has been put together which again raised red flags for some members being in a very sorry position, but you had concerns which you had to raise it at the press conference.
Look, I think you see, the financial services sector, especially, is a system, where there's a lot of interdependency. So those comments that went out to say X number of banks to collapse without specifics damages the entire industry, because you don't know which bank, and we sit here and we haven't seen any such threats. But doesn't mean probably they don't exist, but they are being contained and managed, and the regulator is always in the best position to be able to opine on those things. It's like, who is being cured, who is healthy and running around, and who is not too healthy and being helped back onto his feet. Those are issues that the regulator will be very much on top of. But as an association, from what we see from our members, from what we read, and remember that we have, sort of, as I say, it's a very interrelated industry. We have exposure limits with each other, and we trade with each other. We see some robust engagement.
Still staying on Business Live, Ghana has emerged the first country in sub-Saharan Africa where instant money transfer service on the Visa platform has been introduced. This comes after Ghanaian payment solutions provider EasyPay successfully partnered the international payment card Visa issuer, Visa, and local banks to offer the service. Sheila Tamaklo was at the launch and our reports.
Dubbed Bank Direct, the service enables consumers instantly send and receive money into their bank accounts from any Visa card holder or mobile money wallets. The initiative is the result of local innovation and global capability by the international payments gateway giant Visa, lending its full support in collaboration with local banks in Ghana. The CEO of ExpressPay, Curtis Vanderpoy, threw more light on the service at the launch.
We're very excited about this product. So this product is a new platform. It's part of the ExpressPay platform, or a new product on the ExpressPay platform that makes it very easy for consumers to be able to move money from one bank account to any other bank account in Ghana, or move money from a mobile money network into a bank account instantly. So we're quite excited. This has not just been an ExpressPay effort. We've been collaborating aggressively with the banks. There are 22 banks that issue Visa cards in Ghana. We've been working closely with Visa on this as well to make this a reality. Now with Bank Direct, if I'm waiting for the funds and I need the funds instantly, I can get it. I can then transact with the funds. So think of it as it increases the velocity of transactions, which means you're going to see more transactions happening. But I think the real benefit is that convenience that it gives to customers, so they can spend their time on more important things.
The general manager for Visa West Africa, Ade Ashaye, also lauded Ghana for emerging the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to introduce the Visa Direct service.
The Bank of Ghana is trying to electronify payments. Even your president, in some of his recent speeches, has emphasized the importance for Ghana of electronifying payments, and that's what we're all here to do. So Bank Direct works very well in that case. Being the best way to pay and be paid for everyone everywhere is, you can call that the destination. That's what we're trying to achieve. But working with partners like ExpressPay, creating solutions like Bank Direct, based on platforms like Visa Direct, that's how we're going to get there. So I'd just like to congratulate Ghana for making strides in electronifying payments, and congratulate ExpressPay for being the first technical partner, Visa certified technical partner in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. First technical partner to create a solution on Visa Direct.
The second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, also highlighted the service as a key milestone in the country's bid to encourage electronic financial transactions as opposed to the use of physical cash. He also announced plans by the central bank to soon announce revised regulations for mobile cash transactions in the country.
Past 2 years, as I indicated, in particular, we have made tremendous progress in promoting electronic money. This impressive performance is attributed, as I said, to the passage of the electronic money issuance guidelines by the Bank of Ghana, which has created an enabling environment for digital financial services. Accordingly, it has engendered great interest of banks and non-bank institutions in the digital financial space. We are currently reviewing the law even further and will soon come out with a new law in that regard. The related emerging trend in financial service delivery is an increasing collaboration between banks and non-bank institutions such as telcos and financial technology firms for financial services delivery.
Funds transferred via the Bank Direct service will be deposited directly into the recipient's bank account and can be accessed through branded points of sale terminals, ATMs, and e-commerce merchants, as well as other bank channels such as online banking, mobile banking, agents, and branches.
Into the global arena is one of the concerns raised by top CEOs at the launch of the Ghana CEO Summit and Awards yesterday. Many Ghanaian businesses remain small as they are unable to fully exploit marketing opportunities to expand their operations. Small and medium-scale enterprises almost always blame this on financing challenges. But a former president of the Association of Ghana Industries, who is also managing director of Tropical Cable and Conductor Limited, Tony Otinjesi, says such an argument is untenable. He was speaking ahead of the Entrepreneurs Solutions Summit scheduled to take place next Tuesday.
Too many of our companies start out as SMEs and stay SMEs, and there are all sorts of reasons for this. And so I think that this is an opportunity for people to find out, going beyond SME, what are the hurdles, what are the things you should be looking out for, and even more importantly, how to overcome those hurdles. More importantly, how to face officialdom, how to face bankers, how to face all the regulatory difficulties that you may have in running a business, and particularly in growing a business.
Okay. In going beyond being SMEs, one of the things you hear SMEs complain about is the lack of finance to enable them operate and scale up, lack of opportunities in the market space. Are these just excuses or there are realities on the ground, and how do they go about them?
A lot of the time when we talk about lack of finance, people are being rather short-sighted, to be honest. It goes beyond lack of finance. Before you can seek finance, you need to know how to seek finance. And these are skills and considerations which many SMEs do not think about. So by the time they need finance and they don't know how to go about it, they go about it in the conventional way. But even going about it in that conventional way requires a strategy, requires some knowledge as to how to get it.
It's a wrap for today's edition of Business Live. Thank you very much for keeping company throughout the week. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Let's meet again, same time Monday. Have a great weekend.